Well, I guess my video died. It didn't want to handle anymore, so I'm just gonna continue in a different video. This is part two of what I've been doing while I've been away on Lent, and what I've been reading. So I was just talking about Morgan, which is by Mary E. Pearson. She wrote the Remnant Chronicles, and I managed to pick up Morgan at my library. They didn't have the first book of the Remnant Chronicles there, so but seeing the prequel, which was Morgan, I thought, well, why not? Let's check it out, and it ended up being delightful. Now it is a romance between the two characters, Morgan and I forget the boy's name. I'm sorry. But anyway, the book was good. It was a novella. It was very short, quick, and easy to read, and you kind of get a glimpse of the world, um, at least before the Kiss of Deception. And I had a really good time reading it. There was one chapter that I skipped simply because as it it suddenly got very romantic, and I just don't do that. So I skipped that chapter. I think it was chapter like 22 or something, 24. I'm not sure. I wrote it in my Goodreads, so feel free to check it out to know where to skip. But if you want to read it at all, but it was another like fantasy. I think it's kind of dystopian. I'm not sure because it seems to talk about when there were like skyscrapers and things like that, and there's no longer skyscrapers. So yeah, I think that's it. I think I'm gonna leave that there. But DNFs. So let me see if I can move this over so I can look at the DNFs. Oh, it's not helping me at all. It's not being friendly to me at all. I have to scooch you over here instead. Oh no. All right. Well, here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna make this smaller. I think that'll do. All right. Here we go. Now that we're organized, it's still covered. Oh, brother. Oh my gosh. What is my computer doing now? Who can say? All right. Heart's Gambit. So I picked up this. It was in the new for YA section. It's called Heart's Gambit. I don't remember who it's by. Um, and it sounded interesting. It sounded kind of Romeo and Juliet-esque, where it's like these two families are at war forever, okay? And it's based in New Orleans, I want to say, or somewhere in the South. I want to say it's New Orleans. And now the book opened up and there's like an evil witch, blah blah blah. I was like, okay, this sounds fantastical. I'm interested. But it opens up during the years of slavery on a plantation, and this girl is trying to escape from the plantation to meet with a boy, and they're gonna get out of Dodge, okay? And the plantation owner's wife sees her and chases her down. She ends up being the witch. And with voodoo, she curses her and the man to basically be at war forever because, or their families would be at war forever because he betrayed the girl that was trying to escape during the escape and she got mad and okay, anyway, so it was, but the voodoo magic aspect was so dark and creepy, and it was like blood magic, and she even says like something about there being power in the blood and all that stuff, and I was so creeped out. I was like, even if the point of this story is that eventually their descendants overcome this curse and win and they fall in love and they're not at war anymore and the evil witch gets defeated, I am so creeped out that I don't want to read anymore. So I read only the prologue and I bailed. I considered reading more, but I was too creeped out. I was like literally too creeped out. So um feel free to give it a shot, but I personally wouldn't if you are creeped out by dark magic, blood magic, etc. It was so freaking creepy. Um all right, what else did I read? Oh, I read The Case for Easter as well by Lee Strobel, which was wonderful, just to put me in the mood for Easter. Um, oh, and it looks like the only other thing that I DNF'd was Conform by Ariel Sullivan, I think her name is. And that was a very recent DNF. That was right before the end of the month. Um, yeah, that was not for me. I thought dystopian. I mean, it was in the adult section, which put me at pause, but I was like, you know what? I really like the cover, and the cover is nice. Okay. And I was like, dystopian. I really got burned with Matched. but I'm willing to give it another shot. I was wrong, okay? I got burned again. Well, I think I read 5 chapters, and I feel like that's enough for me to judge, okay? And I immediately, the first chapter opens up with the main character, whose name I forget, but with the main character being told that she is healthy and fertile, and uh, she is allowed to be matched with somebody from the elites or like the higher ups. Okay, so essentially there seems to be like you either live in the low underground, you live in the mid zone, which is fine, or you live way up in the clouds. All right. Cloud people are the best people. Okay. And essentially everybody who lives in mid, they have a deformity of some kind. So society is trying to get rid of all deformities. Okay. And if you're really deformed in some way, I think there can be invisible deformations, which I assume would mean mental illness. Because she meets I don't remember what the terminology is, but she meets somebody who lives underground. And uh, he doesn't look weird. So I guess he has like one of these, like me. Um, anyway, so her deformity though, which just made me cringe out of my skin because I'm like, what the heck? This is supposed to be adult and you're giving us the cringiest deform like it's not cringy. Let me preface this with saying if you have what's it called, heterochromia or something like that, I'm sorry, I'm butchering this right now. But if you have that where you have 2 different color eyes, that's sick, dude. That is so sick. Like, there's nothing about that that's weird at all. That is the coolest thing ever. Like, that is so cool. You are so cool. And God gave you, like, a really cool blessing more than anything. Like, that's how I see it, okay? But she has that, where she has one bright blue eye and one dark brown eye, and she is deformed, and people hate her, okay? And I'm just like, this is so cringe. I'm already like, this feels very Mary Sue. This feels very just, okay, wannabe, not like other girls, that kind of thing. But she is like desperate. I guess she's been rejected before because people can't stand to look at her eyes, okay? But she's ready to go. Ready to get sent back up there to get potentially chosen to be a mate. And the thing is, it doesn't seem like, even though presumably some sort of marriage contract comes out of if this man chooses to be matched with her. Again, matched. Can we stop it? Can we stop it? Okay. Um, then great. But it's more about creating more children, it seems like, than it is about being like happily married or whatever. So that's, I don't know. It just, I knew because the story was already hyper focused on her fertility and and her having children. I just, and her having 2 different colored eyes and how she's deformed. Okay, I don't know. I was just immediately just like, okay, this is going to be a book that's going to have a lot of content that I don't want to read. I just know it is because it's so obsessed with fertility. Okay, I can't do it. So I ditched it. As I ended, the last chapter I read was her actually going up to the clouds, and she was getting like, she was having the makeover, okay, getting all of her hair, the leg hair and all that, whatever other, and getting special contact for her eyes so that they weren't different, etc., etc., which I'm like, okay, well, that's gonna eventually get found out. Ugh. Anyway, it was immediately giving me cringe, and it was immediately just giving me vibes that this was not going to be healthy for me to read, so I ditched it. End of story. All right. So those are the things that I've read. Now, what am I reading? I am currently reading Jesus by Max Lucado, The God Who Knows Your Name. And this is really good. There was a couple chapters where I was like, Max, where are you going with this? And also, I feel like you're talking way too casually about Jesus. Like, I'm just saying, like, he is human and he knows us because he has lived a human life in terms of growing up and all that stuff. Of course, he was perfect, right? Tempted in every way, but never sinned. But like just some of the chapters and the way he talks about Jesus feels too casual. Okay, there should be some level of reverence for his deity because he is also God. And I understand that this book is really trying to hit home that Jesus is human and he understands us. And I get that. But I'm also like, there's a little too casual. But the last few chapters have been beautiful and I love them. And I do love the way that he words things in a way that he's trying to get us to understand that Jesus is not some big, ominous God far away, doesn't care about us. No, he loves us and he's with us in our sufferings and our pains. And I do appreciate that. I just don't love all of the way that he talks about Jesus. And that's a personal preference. So reading that. And then I started reading Isle of the Lost by Melissa de la Cruz, which is a Descendants novel. I've talked about the Descendants. I love the Descendants. I think it's a great or a fun DCOM franchise. Um, this is based on before they leave the Isle, so it's kind of like an origin of where they live and how they lived beforehand, which is very dark. Okay, very dark, very sad. But it's lighthearted in that it's Disney villain behavior, right? Like mostly it's like pranks and curses and things like that. Um, Not that curses are lighthearted, but you know, the way that Disney does them. It's kind of silly, goofy. Um, but you know, right now, like Mal and Evie are going at it. Well, Mal is like attacking Evie because Evie wants to be a pretty princess and Mal doesn't like her. And you know, at one point for one of their birthday, Evie's 6th birthday, Mal wasn't invited, much like Maleficent wasn't invited to, you know, Sleeping Beauty's uh birth or whatever. I don't remember. But anyway, her like, you know, blessing day or whatever. So same kind of vibe. And so she was offended and now she's making her life miserable. I do like seeing that they weren't all like super tight at the beginning. Like she's close with Jay, but she pretty much just messes with Carlos and Evie, at least at the beginning. I mean, I'm very early on in. So I'm enjoying that. I love these characters. I think they're great. So I'm enjoying. It's a very casual read. It's very fun. Now some books that I have recently picked up, which I will show you before we call this quits because I've been talking forever and now it's part two. So I talked about the Remnant Chronicles. I did pick up The Kiss of Deception by Mary E. Pearson. Look at that. That's crazy. I don't usually get books that are fancy because I think it's silly. I'm just gonna read you. But I do like look at all of them. If I was gonna get the rest, they would look like that. But this was I think well it was I had gotten a gift card to be able to a bookstore, so I that's what I used it for because after reading more again I knew I liked it and I wanted to continue to read it. I think Mary E. Pearson has written an interesting world, so I want to check it out. And when it's a gift card I feel less risk, you know, I'm not spending my own money, if you will. So I'm interested in checking it out. Now, I only got the first one because I don't know if I like it, and we're going to find out. But I know that my library has the other two. Now, they probably do have the first one as well, but it took me a long time to get my hands on the matched book, okay? And, you know, that was a waste of time. But regardless, it takes a long time for the first book in a series to finally get into your hands because, like, so many people, like, want it. And I don't know why everybody wants this one all of a sudden, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I have the first one. I'm going to read the first one and then I'll read the consecutive ones. If I like the other ones, maybe I will purchase them in this same style. But if not, it is literally no loss to me. It's great. But I love a good fantasy dystopian. I don't really know. Okay. Anyway, and this was the other one I got. Now, I've been wanting to actually get this book for a while. I keep seeing it again with a gift card. So, but I saw it at a couple of book used book sales, but that was a while ago, and the past few ones I haven't seen it, so and I not at any little free libraries, and I really do want to read this, so I'm really looking forward to it. It's a kind of a classic. Um yeah, the most distinguished contribution to American literature for children. That's a pretty good little medal right there. Good for you. So I want to read it. End of story. And then these are some that I got from a used book sale. I think I've only got a couple of them, which is good. I got the first, second, and third book in the Millie Maven series by Ted Decker and Rochelle Decker, his daughter. Now I've seen these around. I was so excited that like they were actually at a used book sale. And I've seen these around. I'm kind of hoping that these are kind of akin to Narnia, or, they're not going to be exactly like Narnia, obviously, but like good Christian fiction for children. That's what I want. Or at least like, Christian themes. Doesn't necessarily have to be like overt, but let's get some allegory in there. Let's get something. And I think that that is definitely going to be in these. I'm so looking forward to it. I cannot wait. The other one I got, a lot of child fiction. Inside Out and Back Again by Thana Lai. I'm sure I got that wrong. Um, so this is about a little girl who lived in Saigon, and during the Vietnam War, Saigon falls, and her and her family having to escape, which is obviously going to be heartbreaking. Look, we got some more awards up here. The sadder it is, the better awards. But I'm sure it's going to be heartbreaking, but it really sounded good. And I love historical children's fiction. I just think it always hits home for me, even as an adult. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And the last one I did get some other books. Like I got Grace by Max Lucado. I got Person of Interest by J. Warner Wallace, which is about Jesus. Um, so I did get some other books, but I'm not going to go into them too much. I got The False Princess. Now, the reason why I picked this up was because The False Prince is one of my favorite books. This sounds entirely different. Okay. This sounds very, very different. But essentially, she didn't know that she was a false princess, but she's revealed to be one that she was just a pawn put in place, and now that the real princess is back, she gets kicked out, and her having to kind of figure that out, and maybe she has some weird magic that she didn't know about, etc., etc. It sounds really good. When I read it, I will talk more about it for y'all, but I was like, okay, I've never heard of it before, let's go. Is that it? Oh my goodness. Yes, I think it is. Okay, last but not least, I'll show you my reading. Look at all the green check marks for my 26 and 2026. Not down there, but just pretty much in the middle. So I have check marked The Bridge to Terabithia, Happy Lies, People Pleaser, St. Francis of Assisi, which was by G.K. Chesterton, and Forged in Fire and Stars. So that's 5 check marks, y'all. I've got 5 check marks, and we're only in April, so that's pretty good. Anyway, I hope that your Easter was really good. I know I've been yapping on endlessly about these books, so thank you for being patient with me. I hope your Easter was good. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching all of this. Are you interested in any of the books that I have that I'm reading? Are there any books that you would be curious for me to check out and read, or any book that you saw that I just showed that maybe you're like, "Ooh, you should read this one first," or "Don't bother with that one," or whatever. Don't bother with the Match trilogy, okay? Watch the video beforehand to know why. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Remember that I love you, but Jesus loves you way more. And thank you, Jesus. He is risen. Hosanna in the highest. And yeah, have a great day, guys. I'm happy to be back to yap with you about books or other media that I enjoy. And I'll see you next time.